Within 3 minutes, we will start the seminar itself. Please wait for a while. And please make sure during this seminar, I will show you the master's lecture that was held in the 2017, the historical lecture that was held in the Tokyo Dome, which can accommodate more than 50,000 people. So he did a great seminar at that time to the 50,000 people. Not only that, the lecture itself broadcasted to all over the world, more than 100 countries. So please enjoy today's one, but I will explain the behind the scene, what his intention method. Anyway, please wait for a while. And please check your sound devices, not to ring and switch off. Maybe some people might come later, but from 3 sharp we will start. Please wait for a while. We will start 3 sharp. And then first we will recite true words spoken by Buddha. Please prepare for that. Today's materials around there, the intervals. Don't you have this one? The material today's? Okay, and okay. Now 3 sharp. So we will start today's seminar. Some people might have been delayed, but anyway, now 3 sharp. We will start today's one. To begin with, we will recite true words spoken by Buddha as usual. The true words spoken by Buddha, Ryuho Oka. There used to be the light in the great universe. The light is the energy of Buddha. People can live by this energy. And the Buddha's energy has made human history. It will be supplied eternally. This eternal light comes from heaven and prevails on earth. This is the light of heaven. Through the prism of Buddha, there appear the seven colors of rainbow, arching over in the sky. Here you can see Buddha's mercy. Yellow is the color of teaching. White is the color of saving. Red is the color of justice. Purple is the color of obedience. Blue is the color of thinking. Green is the color of harmony. Silver is the color of progress. These seven colors help each other, and they appear as Buddhaland. Buddhaland is shining brightly because of gathering of bodhisattvas. This is the land of love or the land of mercy. This is the land of wisdom, the land of teaching. Especially, this is the land of souls resting in peace. Real souls are the children of Buddha. The children of Buddha became real human beings. Real human beings have spirituality. The spirits are immortal powers. The spirits are immortal forces. The spirits are real entities. The physical bodies are the shadows of the spirits. It means you are the boat sailing down the great river. The great river is a symbol of the course of life. Each of you sails down as a small boat. So you need a boatman. If it are not for your own boatman, you surely go aground. This boatman really means your mind. If your mind makes a mistake, the boat breaks into pieces by a large rock. And you also need a bamboo pole. This pole is the meaning of the true world. When you go down a rapid stream, you need to pant in a stream. Then you can change your course. The true words means the teaching of Buddha. Buddha enlightened and spoke the true words, and the Buddha's teaching became a gold mine. This gold mine suggests various teachings. These are another expression of Buddha's truth. It brightens up your days, or to put it another way, the fruits of Buddha's mercy. All of you, now here listen to me. Never lose your way, now and forever. The guiding hand has already waved. Please follow this white hand and go straightly on and on. Your lives are not limited to this world only. They have three aspects: the past, the present, the future. Your past have already gone by. Yet still your mistakes will be kept in your mind. That is the reason why you should understand other people, and you yourself should reflect on what you have done. You and others are not different. On the contrary, both the children of Buddha and the brothers and sisters. Now then, love each other. Let us bring up each other. And it's time to forgive each other. This is eternal law, which penetrates the present and the future. Yes, indeed. The light of the dark night of this world is hell. It is also the same in another world. Since we came down to this world, the sun of the truth is scheduled to rise. Now we are watching rising sun. It will shed light to the future to invite the sad people to Buddha. Now here I command. There shall not be conflict in this world. There shall not be distrust in this world. There shall not be crime in this world. There shall not be evil spirit in this world. There shall not be the devil in the next world. Only the ideal world. Utopia shall be realized. All of the people love each other, live harmoniously, believe in one another. The world is utopia. All of us could be the light of bodhisattvas, believing that the light has reality, believing that the love has reality, believing that the truth has reality. These are the facts that should be conveyed. We, the light of bodhisattvas, get together, work together to keep right mind and live in tune with Buddha's world. Here we vow to do so. Okay, then let's start. Let's begin. So today's one, as I told you, can you see the choice of humankind? Choice of humankind. That is the title of the master's lecture that was held in 2017. So in Tokyo, that is called the Tokyo Dome. But anyway, to learn a lot from this lecture, the biggest event in happy science. So we will dedicate our sincere gratitude.
まあ、そういう固い言葉に語らないような大宇宙の日本を彼は知ることに、自分は法であるということをして、仏法をそうと言うけども、ブッダとは何かというのは法である。ブッダは法である。ブッダが見るものは法を見る。法を見るものはブッダを見ると言われている。だからブッダそのものを捕まえて、ブッダが見たものをブッダとはダメです。ブッダのと法を見れば、そのブッダの法が実はブッダそのものだと。法を見るものはブッダ。ブッダを見るものは法を見る。ということで、ブッダの法からブッダとは何かを知らなければ。ですから、あなた方にとって法の信仰とは何かというと、すべての宇宙の秘密まで迫りつつ、皆様方現在、今ある理由、そして今どこにいるのかということを知らしめるところまで行く教えです。で、それを解けるのは人しかいません。それをエルカンタイというので今読んでいます。そのただ一人しか解けないエルカンタイの方、エルカンタイとエルカンタイの方と、エルカンタイの方をまっとうにごしていこうとしている相談に対する消える心をお持ちください。それは消えしない限り学ぶことができないものなんです。この学校で全く教えてくれないんです。この学者は教えてくれないんです。他の宗教を学ぶことができないんです。ましてやテクノロジーの進化によってそれが解明されることはありえないんです。絶対ないんです。限界がこれの利便性を増すことはできる。それはもちろん日本までは絶対のとなり、これは信仰のみによって知ることができるものなんです。
Thank you very much. So let me introduce today's lecture that is titled The Choice of Humankind. Then that was held in Tokyo on 2nd August 2017, before Corona, of course. And then he conducted this for 50,000 people who gathered in Tokyo Dome, which is the biggest venue in Japan, and declared that he is the supreme god of the earth. But anyway, if you read any book, like the Laws of the Sun or other books published by him, 3,000 titles books he published so far, and they got Guinness record. And then every single book mention about it, who he is, who is the Elkantai, and we humankind worship same God, same existence, Supreme One, in different ways. That is the truth we can believe. So then, based on this idea, and he declared that, and also, hi, hello, Faroki. Okay, please come.
Thank you.
Grab it, the handouts there. Thank you. So,
kind of.
and then he made some speech, but not only spiritual things, but he suggested the people who are the political leader. So political leaders, what we should treat the modern problems. So now let's listen to his message, and then I already separated his lecture. It's like 45 minutes long, separated into 6 parts. And then one by one, step by step, I will explain what does it mean, because sometimes you don't understand, and you need to understand, and the question mark arises in your mind. That's why I will explain one by one. And after this session, we can have a time to discuss, and also any question you can have and ask me. Okay? So and then before starting, I'd like to let me introduce him. He's a Nima.
Hello everyone.
One of the monk.
Very nice meeting you all.
Thank you.
Okay, and then he comes from Milan and become a professional monk of happy science minister.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and maybe sometime you can listen to him why he can convert his belief into happy science from Islam. Because when he was young, he's a very enthusiastic devotee of Islam. But now he is a devotee and a professional monk of happy science. What motivated him to do so? Okay, but anyway, let's start today's one. Say something? It's okay? And then later, okay? So, the first one, part one, the significance of my first Tokyo Dome lecture in 22 years. At that time, 2017, he conducted the seminar twice a year basis from 1991 to 1995. Then since then, he stopped it because he concentrated on the management and work of Buddha and spread his teachings. Then he stopped this kind of the big event. But 2017, he decided to do so. That he said at that time, this May, last message from me from Tokyo Dome. Before starting the very dark age, I'd like to send a message. That's what he said at that time. Before starting the dark age, dark era. After that, as you know, since 2020, Corona started, and so war started. Anything now, humankind struggling with how to solve this problem. But in this seminar, he predicted some points and direction. He gave direction to solve those problems. Anyway, listen to the message. The first part, the significance of my first Tokyo Dome lecture in 22 years. See, 50,000 people. 50,000 people. You attended it? Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah, I was there.
Good evening, everyone. It has been 22 years since my last Tokyo Dome lecture. Back then, those who were not born yet have now become staff and active members. I am very happy of this. I have given 10 lectures in Tokyo Dome up until 22 years ago. Since then, I have been sincerely and quietly doing my activities and spreading my teachings throughout Japan and the world. During this time, I released over 2,200 publications and gave over 2,600 lectures. Over several hundred million people have heard my lectures. Today, this Tokyo Dome lecture is being broadcasted to 3,500 locations in the world. There are countries where the signal does not reach very quickly, so the last place in the world to hear this lecture, given on the night of August 2nd in Japan, will be in October. The world is indeed far and wide. I feel I must bear very heavy and strong responsibility to disseminate the teachings throughout the globe. Yet, it has already been over 30 years. When I gave a lecture here in 1991, that event became known in Japan. It was a strange sight of a new religion. It was not taken too well by the people, and I feel it burdened our members in various ways. We have spread the teachings throughout the world since then, and now I have a bit of confidence. Is there anyone else on earth who can give teachings to the world from Tokyo Dome? This is the significance of my standing here in front of you. Those who have gathered here today Please pass down to the future generations that your Lord had not given up on humanity at the time of the early 21st century. The world's population has exceeded 7 billion, and it is quite challenging to bring the teachings to all. However, whether or not this 21st century will be a century of peace and stability, or a century where the overgrown population of humanity will be purged, depends on the actions of you who live today and those who will follow in your footsteps. Why am I giving a lecture here for the first time in 22 years? It is because now is the time that divides the future of humankind. It is as if we are at the pinnacle of a mountain.
Okay, thank you very much. This is the first part of this lecture. Okay, so quick review of this. He's talking about like prologue, why he's there. The Tokyo Dome, the biggest venue in Japan, in front of 50,000 people. Can you imagine that? And also, broadcasted to over 100 countries. And then, point is that there are many like missionary houses all over Japan, all over the world. And then, counted more than 10,000 locations that broadcasted this lecture. So at the same time, millions of people watched at the same time. So this is what we can encounter now. So, and then the boundlessly deep and heavy responsibility to provide the teachings to the entire world. Because he himself, he said, he has a responsibility how to manage this situation. Because his consciousness is the Elkantar, who have responsibility for the humankind. And then how they can survive up to his words. So that's why he feels very heavy and deep responsibility for that. So, and then, is there anyone else on earth who can give the teachings to world from Tokyo Dome? Even like a president of other country like America, UK, or other countries, or like celebrity or something. They cannot do it. Only person who can have a lecture from Tokyo Dome to world for 50 years since Tokyo Dome created, only person is Master Honkawa. So others cannot do it. Then this is meaning of my being here and teaching you the truth. That means he's the only person who can influence the world leaders. Then please let the future generation know that the Lord did not forsake the humankind in the early 21st century. That means this is also present for modern people and the next generation. God is here. God used to be here with bodily senses and convey the truth through his mouth. Sometimes people complain like that. If there is God, why doesn't he come to this earth? That's why he came. Okay? Believe or not, that is a historical fact. Now you are witness of the modern mythology. So whether the 21st century will be a century of peace and stability, or whether the shakeout will occur for the overpopulated humankind, depends on the actions of you who live today and those who will follow in your footsteps. Yeah, whether you can listen to him carefully. Otherwise, everyone saying the individual activity should be free, and also no one can stop anyone like that. But anyway, of course, it's a responsibility, but as a result, this happens. I will tell you later why this happens and how we can stop it. And Humankind, 2017, before starting coronavirus. But unfortunately, almost all humankind cannot listen to his words. And the corona started, the war started. And then, but in this lecture, he will tell you how to stop it. And now is the very moment when we have reached the summit of the mountain. Yeah. Then, after this, he said, pinnacle of the mountain. Means, after this lecture, he said, this is the peak, means decline. Yeah, down, go down. Okay, climb down. So that's why this prediction became the reality. 2017, 18, around that is the peak for humankind. Now becomes gradually becoming miserable. Anyway, this is the first part of his lecture. Then second part, whether this seventh civilization will perish or continue onward depends on the present. Seventh civilization. Okay, I will tell you later. But quickly, I will show you. What does it mean, the seventh civilization? The laws of the sun. Some of you already read it. This is the very fundamental teachings of happy science. And then, if you read it, there were in 1 million years, even in 1 million years, there is history more than 300 million years, but very recent 1 million year, there are 6 or 7 civilizations. Now we are 7th civilization among the 1 million years. So Ghana, Mutual, Lamudi. Have you ever listened to those civilizations? Some. Yeah, some, right? Mu, Atlantis, the civilization the past 1 million years. In addition, there was Asgard civilization, the northern part of Europe, which mainly prospered in northern Europe and interacted with a space being, right? And between the Atlantis civilization and the current one. So it is a root of the pre-Christian religious Europe. Then Asgard civilization was started by Odin, Thor, and Loki. Have you ever listened to that? Yeah, movie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That is like how you say.
Sci-fi or something.
Yeah, like comic that is called, I forgot the name, but
Yeah, Marvel.
Marvel comic, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And then had much influence on the Egyptian and the Greek civilization, but declined due to drop in the agricultural production caused by climate cooling. Anyway, I will show you the second part of this one, his lecture. Whether this seventh civilization will perish or continue or what depends on that present.
My resolve to create humankind occurred 300 or 400 million years ago. This is not accepted by modern science, but your ancestor was born on Earth more than 300 million years ago when dinosaurs were roaming this planet. Some existed in spirit form. And at first, several hundred of them were manifested into physical form in this world. Next, I found those who were fit for this Earth's environment within a different class of people who had come from outer space and had them descend to Earth. Another kind of people tried to descend onto Earth from space, but due to the fact that they were not fit for the environment of Earth, they were changed into hybrids. With this change, it could be easier for them to live on Earth. At the time of creation for humanity, I allowed these three kinds of people to live on Earth. At around the same time, I was born on Earth under the name Alpha. He was the first leader for humanity and the origin of how the being called El Cantare now came to be called the Lord. The name was Alpha, the god of origin and the god of creation. After descending to Earth for the first time, with creation being my main work, I created various things in order to reconcile and harmonize people with different ways of thinking and characteristics, coordinate them, and make them one as the people of Earth. I created various civilizations. Within these people, there were many who could not understand my ideas. They began to wage war due to the differences of race or color of skin. However, I have continually watched over the gradual evolution and development of humankind with a tolerant heart for 330 million years. Even now, there is racism due to the differences in skin color. Also, there are gaps in economic and educational levels between countries. And there might even be countries where each person of a country is treated as if they were equivalent to the 100 people of another country. Taking a long time, I have tried various things. I have also sent in various saviors to this world. There have been times when I sent them during the same era. Then ethnic religions were founded around them. Religions founded by the love of God led people to mutually distrust and doubt each other. And started battles that tried to exclude each other. This happened countless times in the past. I won't speak the long story because you don't need to hear a story of several hundred millions of years. However, at the very least, humankind has experienced the rise and fall of 7 civilizations in the last million years or so. What I call a civilization is in the largest sense, whether a whole continent prospers or disappears. The one thriving now is the 7th civilization. Whether or not the 7th civilization will perish or continue onward depends on the present. You already know one of the reasons.
Okay, thank you. Yes, later we will listen to the anyway. Let's review the part 2. What he said. He declared that he created humankind 330 million years ago. At that time, his name was Alpha. If you read the Old Testament, that is described in the Old Testament also. And then sometimes they said, this is the original word later became Allah, right? Alpha became Allah. Similar, right? That's why this is the source of the name of the God Allah. Okay, Alpha Allah. So, but anyway, around that time, I was born on earth with the name Alpha. It is the name of the first leader of humankind. This is the very beginning how Elkantar came to be called the Lord. The name was Alpha because what he did at that time is creation. So that's why he became the Lord. Of course, part of the consciousness of Elkantar. And then the God of origin and the God of the creation. That's why in the Greek they said A means Alpha, beginning. So I have been watching over the gradual evolution, the progress of humankind with the heart of tolerance for 330 million years. Sometimes say, like some people might say, like unbelievable, because we humankind has very narrow-minded. See, what is the science? What is the limitation of the science? They say there must be everything between microscope and telescope. Others don't exist at all.
Yeah.
Right? And then that becomes like a very, very small idea.
Yeah.
Because universe is very big. But what we humankind recognize through 5 bodily senses is very, very limited. So, and then, but after Kant, after French Revolution, human being says, like, rationality should be between microscope, and telescope.
Limited.
Yeah, very limited. And stupid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is something you cannot know,
Yeah.
you cannot see that humankind become conceited. This is another reason we face up the crisis.
Yeah.
We have to admit that God, who is much beyond us. But anyway, so I can at least say that humankind has experienced and witnessed the rise and fall of the seven civilizations. I already told you, right? And in the last 1 million years or so, yes, humankind has the 330 million years history, but even very recent civilization in 1 million years, there are seven civilizations. Then, in this meaning, civilization implies one in the largest sense as to whether a whole continent prospers or disappears. So conclusion is this section is the one flourishing now is the seventh civilization. Whether this seventh civilization will perish or continue on depends on the present. Yes, rule is only rule of the universe who can acknowledge, everyone can acknowledge the laws of cause and effect only. That's why Shakyamuni Buddha told us the only truth is laws of cause and effect. Every single phenomenon has the cause. And every single phenomenon will occur something in the future. So laws of cause and effect is Buddha. Buddha is laws of cause and effect. So this is the root of the universe. Anyway, going to next. I will skip it because I already did it. Okay, so just a supplement for you. In the page number 4, underneath there is okay, and then page number 5. We are going. Even at that time, there was crisis, but even now there is crisis. Today I will not tell you about the war between the Ukraine and Russia becomes a huge problem for humankind that involved NATO and America. And there, NATO countries push the Putin into the corner. That invited tragedy. But anyway, so various nuclear crashes the world is facing. So, and please listen to that first. Then explain.
What page is this? 12?
Part
Page
3.
5, 12, column number 12,
12.
Yeah.
Was it right?
part 3.
Yeah, page 5.
Okay.
You already know one of the reasons. There is a new flashpoint in Asia. Of course, it is the nuclear development and the ballistic missile tests by North Korea. They are aiming to fight on equal terms with America. From their point of view, of course, they are strengthening their military power in order to protect their own country from U.S. attacks. However, from the U.S. point of view, they will not let North Korea slide with its ICBMs that can reach the mainland U.S. or success in atomic bomb and hydrogen bomb experiments. Some people believe there is still room for negotiations. Some say the time for talk is over. The true feelings of the U.S. will probably be decided within a month. This is what I believe will divide the future of humankind. The U.S. is currently faced with its third distress. The first was in 1994, when North Korea was suspected of nuclear development during the Clinton administration. At this time, the Clinton administration seriously considered a nuclear attack on North Korea. However, a computer simulation predicted that 1 million South Koreans would die, as well as at least 100,000 Americans. The president of South Korea was Roh Tae-woo at that time. He can be considered the mentor of current President Moon Jae-in. He saw the simulation results and said to the U.S., "We can't have 1 million people die, so please don't attack." Since the U.S. could not gain the consent of South Korea, they called off the attack and held talks instead. As a result, the first leader of North Korea promised to abandon nuclear development, and the attack was called off. Around that time, I gave a public lecture stating the dangers of North Korean nuclear development and the need for a countermeasure against this. In a movie we released in 1994 called The Terrifying Revelations of Nostradamus, we depicted the dangers of the North Korean nuclear missile crisis. I have been warning people since then. The second crisis was from 2008 to 2009. This was when Kim Jong-il was the top of North Korea. At this time, North Korea decided to push forward with their nuclear development even more. However, unfortunately, during that time, the U.S. switched from the Republican administration to the Democratic Obama administration. At the same time, there was a great global recession caused by the collapse of Lehman Brothers. Well, it just meant Obama did not take any real action. After overlooking these two instances, with the third generation Kim Jong-un in power, his stance is to finish up the job. Anyway, it's a sad story. As for me, I am rushing to create a structure in the spirit world to recover people's souls in case over 1 million people die. I believe all of you will see what kind of decisions the U.S. will make. If they take action, the country of North Korea will collapse, but many people will perish. If the U.S. does not take action, meaning if President Trump doesn't make decisions, the U.S. will fall from a superpower and will no longer reign as the hegemonic nation in the world. In the future, people will not listen to the advice of the U.S. The crises are already everywhere. For example, there is a crisis between China and India. There is a country called Bhutan. There is a country called Nepal. These countries are fearful of an invasion by China. India is now quite irritated, and there could be a nuclear war at any moment. At these times, no one but the world leader can stop these crises. If we look back at the past, there were several crises. I believe it was around 1962 when the Cuban Missile Crisis occurred. The Soviets built a missile base on the island of Cuba, and if they had equipped nuclear capabilities there, the Soviet Union would be able to target almost the entire U.S. During this time, President Kennedy put a naval quarantine, commonly known as a naval blockade, and asked for their withdrawal. Khrushchev, the leader of the Soviet Union at the time, accepted the proposal, and they were able to avert the crisis of a nuclear war. Of course, there are nuclear crises besides these. There was also a time when a nuclear war almost broke out between India and Pakistan. Israel could also be providing fear of a nuclear threat to the surrounding Arab nations. They think that because they are a small country, they must utilize nuclear weapons, otherwise they won't be able to protect themselves. Iran will probably be the next problem following North Korea. To have various countries
Thank you. So this part is very profound because there are many examples what kind of the crisis we are facing up at that time, 2017. One thing I'd like to tell you is she predicted that something happened in America. That becomes a true story because this was held in August 2017. Then, after 1 month, what Donald Trump did, do you remember that? After 1 month, he met.
King Jong-un.
Yes, right after this session, this lecture, end of the August, suddenly he visited to North Korea. You know what's happening in the behind the scene because the National Security Team of America and also National Secretary of the Defense always got a report what Master says. That is a very common secret.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Interesting, right? Since the Hillary was the secret of the nation of America.
Right.
Yeah, Hillary started that.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, and when she was a national secretary of U.S., then the national security team asked the Happy Science. They gave us a report lecture by Masaru Hokawa every time whenever he makes lecture. Yeah, and then after this happens, so Donald Trump decided to visit North Korea. I don't think it's a coincidence. Okay, so that's happened. That's why his words influenced many world leaders so far. Even now, mass media gradually changed their attitude. First, they said Zelensky is the hero of this world who stopped the Russia from the gun. But it's not now. Somehow, some mass media, even the CNN or other the news report of NATO country suspecting whether Zelensky is a hero or not.
So they're re-evaluating.
Yeah,
That's
evaluating.
interesting.
Yeah, because after 1st of June, Masaru Hokawa has a lecture in front of the mass media. I showed it, okay? And then, of course, Japanese mass media gradually changed their attitude. At the same time, other countries' mass media, even the mass media in NATO, gradually changed their attitude. But the thing is, the NATO country, for them, the potential enemy would be, Putin and Russia for 70 years already.
Yeah.
That's why suddenly they cannot change their attitude, but this is happening. Anyway, the fire is about to be lit in Asia. the nuclear development and the ballistic missile tests by North Korea. This is the biggest one in Asia and other countries because, as you know, he means Kim Jong-un is a madman,
Yeah.
dictator.
Yeah.
Once he get angry, he just push the
It's
button.
like a kid.
So he has such kind of the authority. So that's why this is a very dangerous situation. So North Korea is aiming to equip themselves so that they can fight on equal terms with the US. Because as you know, when the Kim Jong-un became the top of the country, still he was just 30.
I know.
Imagine when you are 30, what's happening?
I know.
Then that is crazy. Okay, so and then this is the third time that the US is struggling over North Korea's nuclear threat because young boy, they're very selfish. And
Yeah.
so like one of sons of the celebrity, like, and then got many money
Yeah.
and also surrounded by many beautiful girls, like.
Yeah.
And then the first time was 1994. Okay, the second crisis was from 2008 to 2009, and Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and then at that time North Korea decided to push further with their nuclear development. Unfortunately, U.S. had changed from Republican to a Democratic administration led by Obama. He didn't do anything. Nothing. So then U.S. missed these two chances to shut down North Korea, actually. So now with the third leader, Kim Jong-un in power, okay, before Donald Trump visited North Korea, then North Korea is trying to finish job. This is what Kim Jong-un is aiming to do during his regime. It is unfortunate indeed, but after Donald Trump visited, met him
Yeah.
in Singapore, and then, can you did you remember? Do you remember?
Yeah. He walked across.
Yeah. And then, no missile
Yeah. We're fine.
had been launched by North Korea
Yeah.
until the new administration, President Biden started, until he started his administration office. Nothing, no missile
Yeah. There were no
had been.
tests. I know. There were no tests going on
No.
around that.
Oh, yeah. And after Donald Trump visited him and talked with him in Singapore,
Yeah.
till Biden administration started, no missile had been launched. But after Biden administration has started, there are many. You know, in June, how many missiles are tested from North Korea?
They said 6, wasn't it, or
More.
11?
14.
That's crazy.
Almost every day, like a fire show.
Yeah. Fireworks.
Fireworks. Yeah, like that. And that happened. That's why he said this is who can control this young boy called Kim Jong-un.
Trump.
Only Trump did it.
He's
He said he's a like young boy who is the same age as my son.
I know.
And then actually, the Kim Jong-un admired Mr. Trump very
He
much.
does, very much.
When Donald Trump got sick, corona, and then Kim Jong-un sent a letter to him. How are you? Yeah, yes. I'm worried about your situation. Please take care of yourself, like that.
Yeah.
Letter, special letter from Kim Jong-un to Donald Trump when Donald Trump got the corona.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. That's why now, fourth crisis, no one can control the young tycoon.
The sport.
Yeah. The choice of humankind, part 3, number B, okay? Section B. There is the friction between China and India. That is also true, okay? So China is a materialist country, and India believes in the gods. So this is fundamental conflict between them. Nearby Bhutan and Nepal, on the border of China and India, there is two countries,
Yeah.
Bhutan and Nepal. But I visited Nepal many times, and influenced by China very much because China sent big money to Nepal to invade that country. I saw it. I was a witness at that time. So, and a very dangerous situation. And also, the majority of the Congress of Nepal occupied by communist people. So, then, Happy-san started activity against the Communist Party. Then, next election, the Democratic Party in Nepal got to win. So, but anyway, these countries are fearful of an invasion by China. India is now quite irritated, and there could be a nuclear war with China at any moment, because only Xi Jinping can control that country. This is also dictatorship. If he going mad, he also can push the button to launch the nuclear weapon. In such times, a crisis cannot be ended unless there is a leader in the. So that is another reason he stood up, Masaru Okawa. India and Pakistan were once on the verge of nuclear war. Israel is constantly posing a nuclear threat to the surrounding Arab nations because Israel believes they need nuclear weapons to protect their small country. This is their Israeli people thinking. So because they have a very bad memories, Israeli people have a good culture, as you know, and then they provide a very many smart people, scientists, philosophers, religious people,
Yeah.
but they don't have a big military. That's why they were perished by other countries, like from the Roman, and also other countries, Persia or any countries around them. So that's why they have a very bitter experience. That's why they protect themselves too much, very much. So Iran will probably be the next country to pose the problem of nuclear development after North Korea, because this country also accused by America, US. So that's why they think we have to protect ourselves, because otherwise, who should be the winner in next era? They think, every country thinks, who can possess nuclear weapon. So that's their way of thinking. That's why those kind of things happen. So, okay, then, which is a good country? What is the ideal state? And then he mentioned about it. The status quo of the various countries in light of the world justice. Then he declared what is a good country. Okay, so please listen carefully with using the examples of C and N. Okay, so then page number 7. Okay, with reading this one, you can listen to that. This also has a very various information and knowledge wisdom. Very short, just 5 or 10 minutes, but very.
To have various countries defend themselves out of patriotism is important for their stability and progress. This I will acknowledge. Similar to how Japan approves of its local government, nearly 200 countries on Earth each defends itself out of self-defense. This is natural. However, this is only one yardstick and is not all and everything. Another yardstick is to see if there is world justice within their ways of thinking. This is what I believe is important. Currently, the leader of North Korea cannot hear the voices of the world at all. For example, the Chinese president most likely cannot tell the difference between domestic and international law. There are extremely difficult issues here and there. Russia is roughly half dictatorship, but half of it seeks freedom and democracy, and the country is officially aiming to resurrect the Russian Orthodox Church. Let me give an example to illustrate this. In the US, the mass media have been harshly criticizing President Trump during his campaign. They continue to criticize him even after he became president. The leading figure of those criticisms is CNN, a massive international TV station. The main reporter, caster, or anchor, who I will not name, seems to be very hostile to and opposing President Trump. But he probably does not feel any threat to his life. This is the US. If something like this were to happen in Russia, where the main caster of CNN-like media continued to criticize President Putin, he would be assassinated for sure. Something similar happened in the past. What would happen if a CNN-like media pointed out the wrongdoings of the Chinese government or Xi Jinping? Of course, the least that could happen would be for the main caster to go to prison and meet an end like Mr. Liu Xiaobo. But he would likely be killed before that. And the CNN-like media would be nationalized and dissolved. Nonetheless, Xi Jinping himself was the target of assassination more than 6 times. He is known as the Chinese leader who fears an assassination the most. This is why he continues to put on an aggressive attitude. This is China. What about North Korea? There will be no CNN-like media to begin with. If you look at the people of North Korea through various media, the only one smiling is Mr. Kim Jong-un. It's a completely totalitarian nation, or socialist totalitarianism. China comes close, but in a way it allows for some competition of power, so it is a bit more lenient. It will still take some time for China to become like North Korea. This is the reality, the state we are in. So national defense, loving the country, or to defend the country is a right each country has. But is the country to be defended correct based on world justice? Is it correct based on the will of God? This is another standard. Do not forget this. I forgot to talk about Japan. What would happen if CNN continued to criticize Prime Minister Abe? Mr. Abe would invite the representative of CNN to dinner, eat together, and try to appease him. Perhaps he would take him out to golf. If the criticisms do not stop there, then a cabinet member would resign, and eventually Mr. Abe himself would resign. This is Japan. As you can see, the response differs depending on the country. So, if you were to be reborn now, which country would you choose? Please think carefully. Knowing these things, the country you would want to be born into would be where the justice of God lies. You must think like this. It is a painful choice to make, but to defend your own country means that it is a nation worth defending from the eyes of God. No one can escape from this. This is what I want to say.
Thank you very much. So, how about this country, UK?
I know. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, if you criticize Mr. Boris Johnson, you can be a hero
Yeah.
because of the party scandal,
Yeah.
right? So, if you criticize in the pub or even the news station,
Yeah.
criticize strongly Mr. Boris Johnson, and then you can be a heroine or heroine,
Exactly.
right? Yeah, yeah. People say that applaud you like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, like that. So that no one can feel like danger of the criticism, right? So that is also, I think, the country of the freedom. But anyway, it is a matter of course that naturally, nearly 200 countries on earth which works on the national security to defend themselves. That's true, okay? Then there needs to be another measure that asks whether a country's actions to defend itself are in accordance with world justice. You need to ask, right? Of course, you should defend yourself and your country.
Yeah.
But it's in accordance with the world justice. So that is a very important point. In the case of like Kim Jong-un, if he protected his own life and the country, that becomes a more severe situation for the people in North Korea. Right? It's not world justice. That's what he wants to say.
Yeah.
So to tell that, he counted up the many examples.
Mhm.
So to consider these problems, let me illustrate US. I'm sure that a newscaster does not fear for his life. This is the US.
Yes.
Even if he criticizes. Okay. So fine. How about other countries? Just a quick review. Russia, he might be assassinated.
Yeah.
And China, also the newscaster of the station would be also sent to prison.
Mhm.
And so the company itself becomes purged and shut down.
Yeah.
Right. And then North Korea, there was no like, there is no like the CNN like media.
Yeah. It just won't happen.
It's
Okay.
the same as Iran.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So same as Iran, as he said.
Yeah.
Japan is funny.
Yeah.
So Mr. Abe would probably invite the head of that media to have dinner with him and then try the persuasion. He may even take him or her to golfing.
Okay.
If the Christians don't stop there, then Mr. Abe might have one of his cabinet members resign.
Yeah.
And but eventually he himself would end up like resigning. This is Japan also. Yeah, can you tell? Yeah. In the case of Iran,
Yes, it's very near to North Korea.
North Korea,
In a
okay.
sense, yes.
And then there's no mass media
No
to
freedom.
criticize.
Yeah, there's no independent mass media.
Ah.
Everything is just under full
Scrutiny.
control of
Yeah.
the regime.
Okay.
But the only difference
Yeah.
with North Korea is in North Korea there is only one person,
Mhm.
but in Iran there is one system.
System.
The structure is the totalitarian structure. Of course, it is led by supreme leader, but he is not alone. There is a structure just very similar to CCP. That could be compared because there is a council of many influential people who constitute the body of the regime, and everything in the country, it is industry, whether it's media, whether it's research and development, and everything is just under full authority of this body.
The Ayatollah.
Yeah, Ayatollah actually is the title of such people
the
Yeah.
symbol of the system. Symbol of the
They are
system.
the totalitarian Shia leaders.
What does it mean? What's the word mean?
It's an Arabic term actually. It means that
Leader
the
or
sign
something.
of God.
Oh, the sign of God.
So that means that they are representative of God. That's a very totalitarian approach.
Okay, so
As
and
the Pope.
Yeah, even more
more than that,
yes.
more powerful. But anyway, there is those situations. Okay, so please consider carefully which country you would choose to be born into if you are to start your life afresh. And then justice of God lies in the country you would want to be born into. And then even after knowing each country's circumstances, it is painful choice to make, but you cannot escape God's eyes to decide whether or not the country you want to defend deserves deserves to be defended. I clearly state this. Then some might think, then why Masahiro Okawa half, not all, but half supported Mr. Putin? Because his intention is, and he want to involve Mr. Putin and Russia into the countries of freedom. Then, actually, the first 10 years, Mr. Putin tried to look for that way. But other countries, NATO countries, and push him into a corner. That's why he gave up that. So if Donald Trump keep his regime, and then he can successfully involve the Russia into the countries of the freedom. That was his plan. But mass media attacked Donald Trump. He's friends with Mr. Putin. He's a dictatorship. And also, Mr. Donald Trump is friends with Kim Jong-un. He's also dictator. And then that's crazy. But what Mr. Donald Trump tried to do is involve those dictators into the countries of freedom. That's why Kim Jong he suggested to educate even the Kim Jong Un, and Kim Jong Un understood how dangerous if he insists that we should be the strongest country at the corner of the East Asia, and then he give like a relief to Kim Jong Un. It's like opposite to heaven. That's why it's waste of time for you if you say like that. Like talking to his son. Then one of the like interpreter, what witnessed that scene, like grab his bag and saying like that. It's waste of time for you. Why don't you give up such kind of the bad dream and be friends with other countries like that? And Kim Jong Un admired the first person who met like kindness through Donald Trump. That's why Kim Jong Un at that time changed his mind. But after that, after resigning of Donald Trump, and he gave up, and he gave up. He means that Kim Jong Un gave up.
Yeah, he went backwards.
And backwards, because he becomes he back to the person who don't believe in any adult.
Yeah.
Okay, adult child. Like anyway. So, part 5. Humankind now stands at an important crossroads. So, just listen to this one.
Now, at this moment, the important issues have been narrowed down. One is socialist totalitarian nation. A totalitarian nation where politics and economy only move in accordance with its rules. And a nation where the freedom of speech and the freedom of the press are significantly restricted. Another is a free and democratic nation where all those freedoms are allowed, even though it still has many problems to solve. These nations seek the justice of God. In other words, which one will continue to survive from 2017 onward? Will a national framework of freedom and democracy based on the US and Japan continue to lead the world? Or will you accept totalitarian nations like North Korea and China that have no freedom of the press or freedom of speech to rule the world using fear? These are the choices. This year is one of the vital years. Please brace yourself against what is to come. Please be courageous. There will be many opinions. You might get confused. There will be many opposing opinions. The international opinion will heat up. But in the end, if you get confused, please listen to my words, because they are the words of the one who has been leading humankind. Essentially, the nation should be run to fulfill the words of God. I hope so. However, I do not see any such country in the world today. The country of freedom and democracy is far better than a country that suppresses individual human rights and easily kills its people. But please know that there are many places within the country of freedom and democracy that do not feel the words of God and takes his teachings to be outdated. The key phrase here is separation of church and state, which means to separate religion and politics. A lot of this goes on in the country of freedom and democracy. This is why Christian countries can wage war against each other, even though Jesus taught, "You shall not kill." The separation of church and state allows this. Politicians are chosen by the people, not God. That is why they can kill. The cause is separation of church and state. On the other hand, there are nations of unity of religion and politics, which try to express God's teachings to their political and economic structure. Islamic nations are probably like this. If the original mind of God were expressed exactly as it were, then we should be seeing right results. But it has been 1400 years after Muhammad's descent. Do you think Muhammad's mind would be relayed exactly as he feels to the leaders of Islamic nations right now? No, they do not understand. That is why they follow the past scriptures and come up with political and economic policies that are advantageous to them today. Even theocracy or unity of church and state has problems. Especially in terms of Islamic countries, because they are strongly connected to monarchism, many of them dislike democracy. So the people who immigrate to Western countries from Islamic nations sometimes become terrorists and cause disturbances in the world. There are people who agree with democracy among Muslims, But those who are called radicals or fundamentalists do not approve of democracy. They believe that humans should live according to what God says. However, their current political leaders or the leaders of Islam cannot hear the voice of God. This is the problem. If they could hear it, they could reflect on themselves and change their way of thinking. But they are following the words from very old classical age. Even if they try to make decisions on the current politics or economy based on such words, they can't because it is not spoken of. Do not get me wrong. There are suicide bombings by Muslims, but even in Islam, God teaches, "You shall not kill" in the Quran. You shall not kill or hurt others. That is what is being taught. Despite this, there are still wars. That is because they believe that their God is the true God and all other gods are fake. I would like them to know that monotheism is not all in everything. Every race or country has an existence that they call God in their history. I approve that. In that sense, polytheism really exists, as India says. There are a countless number of gods. However, if that is all, wars would break out all the time. If there were only one God and all others were fake, then it would be justice to attack other races or countries and to occupy them in order to spread what they believe. Christianity is also a monotheistic religion. So Spain and Portugal back in the days went around the world and colonized a lot of countries. They destroyed religions in various countries and colonized those countries. Even so, they could not control the world. This is not God's fault. The problem lies in the level of awareness of those who believe in and practice the teachings of God.
Okay, thank you. This is also very significant and also profound teachings, isn't it? So then, the points are there here. Okay, so the one is that the national framework of the freedom and democracy based on the U.S. and Japan continues to lead the world from now onward. The other is that we accept totalitarian nations like North Korea and China, which have no freedom of the press, the freedom of speech to rule the world through fear. Then we are now being asked to choose between these two. So if you get confused, this is the conclusion. If you get confused because mass media told the many stories to you through the TV and the newspaper, maybe it makes you get confused. But if you get confused, then in the end, listen to my words. This is the answer. Listen to my words. They are the words of the one who has been guiding humankind. So God is merciful. That's why he descended to this earth through the voice of mouth of Masaru Hokawa. He just tells you how much he loves you. That's it. So that's why whenever you listen to the words of Masaru Hokawa, you feel the mercy and the love from God, right? No single word can hurt you. This is the truth. For 30 years, we saw, okay, people in many of freedom and democracy countries are unable to feel the words of God. They consider his teachings to be things of the past. Please know this. This is what they feel. So, and then the key phrase is, this is a very problem nowadays. separation of the religion and the state. They say, not happy science people, the Christian people or some Muslim people says, these words, separation of religion and the state, is the invention by devil. Invented by devil. Because if you're successful to separate the politics from religion, religion from politics, then religious people cannot say anything. No freedom of speech by religious people. That is the oppression by government, right? Yeah. And then religious people should not interfere anything with the politics. Then that means religious people has no right to say anything to politics. It's oppression, right? That's why he said, and even the Christian people, the Muslim people says, this is the invention, invented by these words, invented by Satan. And then many free and democratic nations separate politics from religion. This is why Christian countries can wage war against each other, even though Jesus taught, you shall not kill. Yes, separate and religion from politics, politics from religion. Then, this is a politics. That's why I can kill you. Like this. So, in other words, since they separate church and state, their politics are managed by the elected delegates, not by God. Right? Very ordinary uncle or aunt. So, that is why they can kill. This is the issue regarding the separation of religion and the state. Now we try to get back this right, human right, from government. The religious people should say something to nation. Otherwise, we religious people cannot protect everyone. So that's why Happy Science created a political party that is the Happiness Realization Party. So that's why we stand up. Okay. The part B, part 5, the section B. On the other hand, there are nations where religion and politics are united. These countries try to reflect God's teachings in their political and economic institutions. First, he already criticized the nation who believe in the democracy and freedom, but there is a system we should correct. And then many disasters happen because of that, even in the nation who believe in the freedom and democracy. Okay, and on the other hand, the nations who believe in God have some problems. And then Islamic countries are not example. One example. The problem is that the current leaders of Islam are unable to hear the words of God. No one can listen the words of God like Masaru Okawa is doing now. Masaru Okawa every day listen to the words of angels and the words of God. That he himself will connect to his core consciousness the same as God. That's why he always listens to that and contemplate on that. So, but how about the political leader in Islamic countries? They cannot listen at all. Then, if they could hear his words, they could reflect on themselves and change their ways of thinking. Those who are able to hear the words of God were the people in the very old classic age, means Muhammad, Moses, Jesus Christ, Shakyamuni Buddha. Those people can listen to that, but the people nowadays cannot listen. So, although Islamic leaders today try to make decisions on the current politics or economy based on the words from ancient times, they cannot because those words do not mention anything about current affairs, right? So, and then still, they have a very prejudice, like women should follow male, no against at all, like that. and or like many the tradition. Okay, so the human rights, and also if you do like a love affair rather than your partner, you will be killed by your parents, like this, right? That's happened, and then the Christianity is another monotheistic religion, which helps explain why Spain, the Portugal, in earlier times traveled across the world and colonized many countries. Okay, they destroyed the religions in various countries and colonized them because they said you should worship only one God. That is monotheism. The monotheism is a problem, but we happy science thinks like there is many gods and angels, and we are friends. They are friends each other, and one the supreme God that created us. That He loves everyone, Christian, Islam, and Buddhist, and Hindu people. So that is the idea of happy science. That's why we can overcome this idea, monotheism, so-called monotheism. That if you believe in God, you can be loved by God. Otherwise, you will be punished by Him. That is threatening, right? And God dislikes threatening people, force anything to the people. God loves free will. And then they destroy the religions in various countries and colonize them. Despite that, Christianity is still unable to govern the entire world. This is not God's fault. The problem lies in the level of awareness of those who believe in and practice the teachings of God. So, maybe, not maybe, certainly, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, and Moses, Shakyamuni Buddha, those giants can understand, recognize what God thinks. That's why, for example, Jesus Christ said, Father, there is a Father in the heavenly world. He loves everyone, like that. So that God is love. Because before He coming to this earth, and the Jewish people said, God is anger. Anger, God of anger can give you the punishment like that. And then He tried to change this idea, convert this idea into the God of love from God of anger, right?
Yeah.
Then He was killed by Jewish people. So that happened in history, but they don't know why Jesus Christ killed. He dedicated His life to change the concept of God from God of anger or God of envy into God of love. The concept of God is very important. That's why He was killed, but they don't know the fact. But anyway, so then His disciples like vented the fact, like because He owned all the sins humankind has. That's why He was killed. That is like excuse by 12 disciples who has guilty why Jesus Christ killed by Jewish people. They don't understand, and the people don't understand. If He's a savior, why didn't God come to Him to save Him? They cannot answer those questions. That's why they created such kind of logic. But the reality is, reason why Jesus Christ killed by all the people means He tried to do revolution. Revolution means the idea of God, concept of God. All the people believe God of anger, God of envy, God of jealous. He tried to change this concept into God is love. Okay? That's what He did. But anyway, message from Humankind, God of the earth. Okay, please listen carefully. This is conclusion. Also very profound, but very, very strong.
I now tell you this. The God in Christianity, Elohim in Judaism, Allah in Islam, the imperial god Shanki, whom Confucius of China teaches about, and the god above the center of all gods in Shintoism, whose appearance is not known, but the being higher than Ame no Minakanushi no Kami, called Ame no Mioyagami.
Japanese Shinto. Japanese religion.
These are all a single being. So religions may differ in their way of thinking because of differences in racial characteristics and cultural traits, but they all originated from a single source. They are our friends who are soul training in various ways on earth. This is what I would like you to know. To overcome racial differences, I created the system of reincarnation. Even people who are Japanese today may not have been Japanese in their past lives. They may have been European, Chinese, Korean, or vice versa. By going through soul experiences and experiencing being both a male and female, humans are trying to broaden their capacity to understand each other. I was born in this country, Japan, to give the final, last, and the complete laws. I will reveal everything as far as I understand. From now on, you all must not start an international war because of religion. You must not start a war because of conflicts between atheism and theism, or whether one has faith or not. Kim Jong-un believes in God. Abandon nuclear weapons and missiles. Xi Jinping, acknowledge God. Acknowledge freedom and democracy under God. These are the words of the God of Earth. Also, Islamic nations, you speak of monotheism, but do you hear God's voice? If you do, listen to my words. Then there will be no terrorist attacks between Muslims and Europeans due to immigration issues. I did not promote this. I did not permit civilians attacking other civilians by driving a bomb-packed car into them. I did not allow mothers or children to engage in terrorist attacks by wrapping dynamites around them, blowing themselves up in front of many people, and inciting fear in tens of thousands of people. I say unto you, humankind must overcome differences, reconcile, harmonize, evolve, and develop by knowing the words of the true God. These are the words of the God of Earth, El Cantare. You must never forget this. Engrave this into your heart. Humankind is one. You must believe in the existence of the God who surpasses worldly conflict and choose to continue the world that upholds freedom and democracy under him. I will say it again. What North Korea needs is faith. China also needs faith. India needs to become aware of the existence of gods that are above their gods. What Islamic nations need is to know who Allah is. I love humankind beyond their differences. I accept them. Through believing, please learn what love is. This is my message. Thank you very much.
There were more than 50,000 people at the same time like this. Right? Because the facility in Japan, see, full house. There are numerous people who already believe in that Masa Okawa is God and El Cantare. So, and then now this becomes the 165 countries. And also 11 million people believe in this world. And this can become the power to change the world. I believe so. Then, last part. Lord God, Elohim, Allah, Shanti, Ame no Miyoyagami. And those all are all the same, single being. This is what he wants to say. And then I created a system of reincarnation so that they can understand others, love others. Because you cannot love others because you cannot understand others, right? Understand is a key word. Whenever you cannot understand other people, you cannot love that person, right? But once you understand other people, you can love that person. So only that. That's why to nurture your power of understanding, he created this system, reincarnation, and expand your loving ability. So I was born in this land of Japan in order to teach the last, final, and the all laws. I will reveal everything I know. That's already started. And then I think within one decade, this world has been dramatically changed from very materialistic world into the spiritual world. So people can believe in the spirituality, and everyone can experience the spiritual phenomenon. That will happen. But before then, we need a slow way, all the shell, you that's covering. Then take off and get a new wear that is spiritual because it becomes dirty. Right? You need to wash it, change it, right? So and from now on, you must not start an international war because of religion. You must not start a war because of conflicts between the atheism and the theism, or whether one has a faith or not. This is exactly message from God. No other than the God cannot get this kind of word, right? And then these are the words of God of the earth. And I also tell Islamic nations, you profess the monotheism, but can you hear the voice of God? That's what he said. Because no one can listen to the voice of God. That's why some of the people who engaged in the politics in Islamic country becomes very selfish and try to get all authorities from the people. People become very poor and miserable. That happens. Then Muslims and Europeans shall no longer fight by using terrorist attacks over immigration issues. That is the order, command from God. And then I say unto you, humankind must learn the words of the true God, overcome their differences, reconcile, harmonize, and strive to evolve and develop. These are the words of Elkantai, God of earth. You shall not forget this ever again. Engrave this into your heart. 2017, August. I cannot tell you anything. Then, last one. Humankind is one. From now on, believe in the existence of the God who surpasses the worldly conflicts and under God choose to continue with the world that uphold freedom and democracy. Under the God, this is very important. Without God, democracy and freedom becomes a waste. Also, okay. I will say it again. What North Korea needs is faith. What China needs is faith too. What India needs is the God above various gods. What the Islamic nations need is learn who Allah is. He is that. And then I love and accept human beyond their differences. Through believing, learn what love is. Because we are here to learn what love is. That is the theme for everyone. We are here to learn what love is and get wisdom to expand your loving ability. Okay, this is conclusion of his message. So, then lastly, I will show you quickly one of the testimony from the members in Iran. One of the members in Iran, the lady.
I am a member of Happy Science for 2 years now. The book, The Laws of the Sun, changed my life forever. The first time I read it, I felt dizzy. I never had such a feeling. After 5 months, I realized that something was changing in me. In many aspects, it was against all that I'd learned. I was an ultra-Islamist woman who never wanted to hear any other teaching. There are many teachings in the book which was different from Islam, but the roots seem to be the same. I shed my skin. I fought against myself to believe in Master Ukawa. Something in me was telling me that they were against the words of Muhammad and Ali. I was thinking that this is an evil religion that tries to delude Muslims. I even told the missionary that I believe you are all evil. And he gave me love instead. I cried many times. I cried many nights and prayed to God and asked Him to guide me. I prayed to God many times a day. When I remember those days, I can't keep my tears. Something in me was telling me that these are the words of Satan that wants to delude me with beautiful words. I prayed to God. How is it possible that somebody from Japan knows love more than your Prophet Muhammad? Even thinking about this felt like an unforgivable sin to me. Gradually, curtains fell one after another, and truth revealed itself to me. I could feel that a ray of light connected me to these teachings. I talked with the missionary for many hours. and could gradually learn teachings one after another. I feel that Master Okawa chose my soul as a disciple. Otherwise, I would never have the courage to walk in this path. I must say, the teachings that touched my soul the most was the developmental stages of love. I never heard of love in this way. One day I was thinking that this is an evil religion, but then I was reminded of the teachings of love. I learned that the Lord, the one who taught love to Jesus, is the God of love. It was such a profound teaching. I learned from Jesus that love and God cannot be understood by worldly mind. Today I believe that Master found me in the dark and saved me. I feel that I was a disciple in this path before, in my past lifetimes. When the missionary talks about the teachings, I don't see him. I imagine Master preaching the loaves. I love these teachings more than my father, more than my family. I just cry as the missionary conveys the teachings. When I feel hopeless, I talk to Master and take refuge in him. These are things that I can only tell to our missionary. Nobody can understand my faith. I can't tell others about my love and faith to Master. Sometimes I even feel that I've been his disciple before. How can a radically Islamic person like me love Master more than anything in life? When I watch excerpts of Master's teachings, I see Master's nose as light. I can't describe this feeling. I'm not a young woman who can be easily fooled. I know this is the truth and nothing but truth. I have learned to see all people as the children of the Lord. I want to share the teachings of love with other people. I want to learn as much as I can, and then I want to convey the teachings to others as well. My Master, I would like to tell you that there are people in this country who have faith in you. Receiving your teachings is the joy of my life. Your teachings are the source of my life. I know that you hear the words of your disciples in this country. I will keep your teachings in my heart for eternity. Thank you very much, Master Okawa.
また三教国よ、あなた方は神教を名乗っているが、神の声が聞こえているか？聞くなら、私の言葉を聞きなさい。あなた方に言う、真の神の言葉を知って、人類はその違いを乗り越えて、融和し、
産教国にするのは、あなたは誰かを知ることです。私は人類の違いを超えて愛しています。受け入れています。信じることを通して、愛とは何かを学んでください。それが私のメッセージです。
Thank you very much. So from Thursday, we will have this annual biggest event as Happy Science. The 7th of July, next week's Thursday, this week's Thursday, live lecture from Japan, 10 a.m. But at the same time, the 6 p.m. we will show you the recorded one. And the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every day 3 p.m., 6 p.m. we can show you this the newest lecture titled "Be Independent and Strong," because this world surrounded by the big crashes. That he will give the courage. Okay, that he's a savior, but he didn't say, "I will help you without condition." What he says, you have the same power as God has inside. That's why if you activate your power inside, you can be independent and strong and survive in this world and get wisdom which you can take to the another world. So that's what he wants to say in this lecture to all people in this world. That's why, of course, please come. But not only you, please encourage other people to come. Especially, for example, the Thursday we will have a live lecture, and Sunday we have piano concert and a potluck party. Who looking for the way to invite other people? That's why please work for that. We need some volunteer to do so. Anyway, thank you very much. This concludes today's one. Take a bow and conclude. Thank you. So, and from 5:15, we will have a discussion. Okay, and then and after that, we will have a prayer service. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you. So we will have a Zoom session after this, and if you like, please join. Thank you.